Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is the seventh in a series of 10 informational sessions being presented by the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance regarding and inviting you to participate in opportunities for investment in the Pittsburgh region. The Pittsburgh Regional Alliance, for those of you who may not be familiar, is an affiliate of the Allegheny Conference on Community Development. Our particular focus is on business growth and attraction, as well as talent growth and attraction. My name is Patty Horvatich, and I'm the Vice President of Business Investment. And later, we'll be joined by my colleague and friend, Linda Topolewski. And together, we'll take a deeper dive into the energy sector. If you have any questions during the presentation, we ask that you use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. We'll try to address as many as possible, and if we're unable to get to yours, please be assured that we'll be happy to follow up. This session is being recorded. The link will be available on the pittsburghregion.org website within a few days. Today, we'll be providing you with an overview of what's happening in the Pittsburgh region, our economic vision, energy investment opportunities, information on real estate, and we're going to finish with our strong talent pool, impressive quality of life features, and of course, our contact information. This is Pittsburgh. We're home to people and places, enterprises, foundations, startups, universities, and more, all meeting the world's biggest challenges and opportunities head on. Our region is open to innovative people and companies excited about growth, and we invite you to build something remarkable here. Here is Pittsburgh. We're a 10-county region, which includes Allegheny, Armstrong, Beaver, Butler, Fayette, Greene, Indiana, Lawrence, Washington, and Westmoreland County. Our population is 2.6 million people. Our gross domestic product, 139 billion. We have a workforce of 1.3 million people, including 490,000 millennials. And I must add that our millennial population is growing at a faster rate than the national average. And here, our median home price is $155,000. This is our moment, but perhaps more important, this is your moment. There's something happening here in Pittsburgh, and we invite you to be a part of this top R&D-driven innovation hub, an emerging global startup ecosystem, a leader in energy innovation and related industries, a top city for STEM professionals, where there's best practices for a circular economy. And now let's move on to our economic vision. The region is home to a dynamic economy that today is being driven by manufacturing, autonomous vehicles and robotics, energy, healthcare and life sciences, headquarters, and logistics and transportation. Okay, now to our energy sector. Southwestern Pennsylvania has been a major player in the energy sector for over 200 years, a long tradition of energizing the world, and we intend on continuing that tradition. We are open to companies interested in maximizing the region's natural gas and natural resources, supporting new businesses and innovations in the renewable, energy storage, and efficiency industries, innovating and commercializing new technologies to power tomorrow's global energy needs. We have a very strong ecosystem here. In terms of companies, we have over 1,000 firms. In terms of talent, we have 35,000 in the energy workforce today, and each year we're graduating over 3,000 more. We have robust R&D engines, including, but certainly not limited to, the University of Pittsburgh Swanson School of Engineering, CMU's Wilton E. Scott Institute for Energy Innovation, the National Energy Technology Lab, and the Bettis Atomic Power Laboratory. And companies like Curtiss Wright and Eaton, Holtec, Mine Safety Appliances, Mitsubishi Electric Power Products, Siemens, Wesco, and a whole host more speak to the strength of our supply chain companies. And you'll certainly note here that we have a lot happening in terms of 13 expansions, representing over $7 billion in capital investment. We have over 1,100 patents in the past 10 years, and you'll see in the past 5 years how much research and VC funding we've been awarded. So just what are these energy investment opportunities? Let's start with natural gas. And I might add my favorite photo. So Pennsylvania is the second largest natural gas producer in the United States. We're the largest metro atop the Marcellus in the Utica shale plays. What does this mean? It all equals availability, affordability, and I might add here that natural gas prices for end-use customers has been down between 56 and 76% since 2008. And there's been a lot of technological innovations which have really, I guess, really shown through in this industry. For instance, hydraulic fracturing and horizontal drilling. Now, as I said, this is my favorite photo. It's the Shell chemicals plant being built in Beaver County, where they will be taking ethane from the natural gas stream, converting it to ethylene, and then to polyethylene, and then to high density polyethylene and linear low density polyethylene. So any companies that use those products would certainly benefit from the locational advantages of being proximate to their feedstock. So we certainly welcome you in the region. In the picture, if you look closely, you can see a cogeneration facility. I think that's great that Shell has built their own, and once they're up and the plant's commissioned, they're going to have excess that they're going to be able to put back on our grid. There's also the Shell Polymers Innovation Center. Yes, even after their final investment decision, they decided to put this R&D center here, right next to the plant. So Shell, you may have heard recently that they're targeting to become a net zero emission energy business by 2050. So that's going to further emphasize their commitment to the environment, how they respect nature and power lives, et cetera. But as Shell and other companies make these commitments, we invite those companies who are working on the research and development, the product development, companies that are designing the pilot plant and then building the demo plants and then expanding to commercial size plants. All of that, we welcome you here, where there's ample supply to serve all these downstream manufacturers. And then we also have a great organization called the Marcellus Shale Coalition, which has everything you want to know about natural gas. So let's move on to some of the renewables. We certainly have room in the region for producers and component manufacturers. In terms of the solar, whether you need to build the wafers or the solar cells or the solar panels, you can do so here. In terms of the wind turbines, whether you're doing the blades or the rotors, again, you can do it here. And then look at our rivers. What better renewable where both the University of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County have agreed to purchase agreements with Rye Development to purchase some of that hydropower right from our Allegheny and Ohio rivers. And then we can move on to energy storage. Companies are invited to design, develop, and commercialize new technologies for energy storage here. So on the left, you can see that one is high power out in Turtle Creek. The middle is Orion. And then on the end is Watt fuel cell. So all these companies are actually, they're using a mix of the different portfolio of energies, whether it's the solar and energy, and I know Watt Fuel is even using natural gas with their solar. They're developing new ideas, new technologies here for this storage. Sustainability-based manufacturing. So electric vehicles, related technologies. Circular manufacturing companies, those who are recycling the products. Green building technologies. Perhaps there will be new, I guess, ways of perhaps building buildings with different materials, or energy production, supplies, and products. We invite sustainability-based manufacturing to set up shop here and to grow here. Now, this too is also one of my favorite pictures. So the airport, as you can see from all the runways there, that's Pittsburgh International Airport. They are building a new generation microgrid here. So, and this is all because of forward-thinking leadership, very strong partners, natural resources, and new technologies. So they'll be using natural gas and solar panels for this new generation microgrid. And that will speak to both their redundancy and their power resilience. A great example of many of the different forms of energy in our region coming together on very unique, creative, innovative projects. So why are you able to do this in the Pittsburgh region? I must say it's because of our sustainability-based leadership. Pittsburgh was actually one of the founding members of the 2030 District Network. We've earned a Center of Excellence on High Performance Buildings by the United Nations. We're the second city to commit to the 17 United Nations Sustainability Goals. And using those goals, our very own company, the Allegheny Conference on Community Development, in January of 2019, adopted our sustainability principles to address improvements for people, planet, place, and performance. We're committed to attracting a clean tech incubator. In Pennsylvania, we know from a presentation just last week, is one of 7 states developing a carbon capture, utilization, and storage plan with multiple states to address this head on. Okay, so let's move on to real estate. So we most definitely have the sites and the space to support your growth. In terms of office, we have 11.5 million square feet of real estate, and industrial, we're 9.5 million square feet. 24 available industrial buildings and sites served by rail, sites with river and barge, and 2.5 million square feet of flex space. So these 2 pictures, the top is the Mon River Industrial Park, and that is in Washington County. The ownership group there owns 400 acres. And you can see from the photo, there is an active rail line, and certainly barge access is there. And then on the bottom of your slide, you'll see RIDC Westmoreland Innovation Center. Now that was converted to a multi-tenant facility, and it's my understanding that there's over 2.8 million square feet. Now, not all of it is available, but if you need some space, I'm sure we can find some there that meet your needs. So as you know, the economy's changed here. Energy has changed. And right now we have a lot of excess properties, former coal-fired power plants, that need to be redeveloped for companies like yours to invest here. So the photo shows four. Two of them are actually from the Pittsburgh region. The one is the Mitchell and adjacent site. That's 856 acres in Washington County. And the other one is the Rabino Coal Refuse Disposal Site. That's 1,500 acres in Greene County. And then coming soon, it's still in the works right now, the Bruce Mansfield plant in Beaver County along the Ohio River will have a playbook. So what's so important about these playbooks? Not only they define the assets of the river and the rail and the energy transmission infrastructure there, but the playbooks also recommend at least 3 reuse or redevelopment options that make sense for the assets and also for the communities in which they live. Okay, and all of those sites you can see are in southwestern Pennsylvania. So if you look at that black dot that says Pittsburgh, you can see that the US natural disaster map shows us as a pretty safe area to build or to invest in. So now I'm going to ask Linda to step in. Now that we've talked about the energy, the innovation, the R&D, the real estate, she's going to talk to us about something very important, the talent.
Okay, thanks, Patty, and thanks everyone for joining us. I'm Linda Topolesky. I oversee talent strategy for the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance, part of the Allegheny Conference, as many of you know. And the energy workforce is unique in that it is the occupations crossover into advanced manufacturing as well. And one of the things that we recognized as a region early on was that we needed to take advantage of that opportunity to cross-fertilize and train a workforce that was able to withstand the ups and downs or ebbs and flows of the cyclical nature of the energy and manufacturing areas, so that talent that was trained in certain types of machining, process technology could easily adapt to go into other industries. Next slide. So as Patty mentioned, our total workforce is about 1.3 million across our 10 counties. We have a very strong college-educated population, over 234,000 students in our overall talent pool here. 45,000 of them graduate each year, and about 12,000 of them have degrees that are related to technology. In the energy area, though, we have about 35,000 people that are working in energy fields across multiple different occupations. And I'm going to go into a little more detail on the next slide here about what we're doing to continue to build that talent pool that's specific to energy. So when the Marcellus shale play first started really gaining momentum in this region, we quickly realized that we did not have the workforce ready to take advantage. Everything from the petroleum engineers to the rig workers to roustabouts, all sorts of occupations that were very, very specific. And as a result, we had many workers that were migrating here from Texas, Oklahoma, et cetera. And quickly we realized the scale of the opportunity meant that we needed to really get serious as a region and work together to build that workforce here. And so we created a program known as ShaleNet, which was a public-private partnership of multiple community colleges with a shared curriculum, as well as industry leading that curriculum that was really specific to the oil and natural gas industry. But what was also unique was that many of these occupations that we're being trained for, as I mentioned, are also occupations that are relevant and in demand in manufacturing. So during this process, and we continued to get funding for it, continued to get industry involvement, federal dollars, we were able to train up about 3,000 workers for the oil and natural gas industry, which gave us a good percentage of what we needed to scale up the Marcellus shale play. In the process, though, once we were scaled up, we saw quickly, as did others, that this was a model for public-private cooperation and collaboration in order to develop workforces of the future. And so a number of other programs have taken their cues, from the ShaleNet model. Team Consortium is one of them, and that is a tri-state partnership. So for any companies expanding or relocating here in southwestern Pennsylvania, if you're not as familiar with the geography, Ohio is right next door, as is West Virginia. And so we often operate, particularly from a work shed point of view, from a tri-state footprint. And so the Team Consortium, which stands for the Tri-State Energy and Manufacturing Consortium, it's made up of higher ed, workforce and economic development organizations, state and federal policymakers, various employer groups such as the Allegheny Conference. And the whole purpose is to better align the education and training systems, particularly at the 2-year level, to better meet workforce demand. And TEAM is focused on STEM occupations. And part of what TEAM is doing, which is an important but grueling task, I might add, is putting together an inventory of exactly what is our supply, what is the need, what is the demand, and therefore how many students do we need to, and incumbent workers do we need to put through these various programs in order to better meet demand now and in the future. In addition, all of our community colleges here have some sort of programs that are operating on a model that's similar to ShaleNet in terms of having industry input into the curriculum, the capital expenditures for equipment, and then also the hiring process. But two that I'll point out today relevant to energy. The Community College of Allegheny County is in the process of building a brand new state-of-the-art, truly leading edge in the US workforce training center. And a couple of the areas that they will be training for that are certainly relevant to energy are in the IT space, the cybersecurity and protection space, but also in the autonomous systems and process technology area. And so, and they've been working very closely with industry, small, medium, and large manufacturers to give input to that curriculum, to give input to the types of equipment that they need to invest in, and then to take a look at what the hiring process looks like. So basically, hiring to spec and building to spec. And so that collaboration has been going on for a couple of years, and the new center, I believe, is expected to open next spring in 2022. Also, the Community College of Beaver County opened in 2018 the Shell Center for Process Technology. Now, it's similar in the model in terms of ShaleNet, in terms of what CCAC is doing, having that public-private cooperation. It's a state-of-the-art training facility for process technology technicians, and it has an advisory board of companies that are looking to hire from this program. So Shell kicked this off with a large donation a couple of years ago, and many of the local foundations also invested in building this up. And so while it's not just for Shell or the cracker plant, many other companies are using it for incumbent workforce training as well. They're hiring students directly from it, but they're also bringing their workforce to it for experiential training and process technology. And this is very much in character for how this region operates. We often collaborate on large scale initiatives that are too big for any one of us to solve. And so that, people know each other, we know the systems, we know how to work together, and what players need to be brought together in order to scale up for large operations, large hiring needs. And so you'll find a welcome home here and an easy partnership model to step into for any of your needs. And it's something that we welcome the opportunity to discuss. So when it comes to expanding here and living here, a lot of people are not familiar necessarily with what Pittsburgh is like on the ground. Let me just say, I'm a native. I moved away for many years, and I moved back, or boomeranged back, as they say, because other places just didn't feel like home. And part of the reason for that is you get a whole lot of what you need here from, say, a mid or a larger city. There are a lot of amenities here, but you never feel like it's too big to manage. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to meet people. And it's a small enough size that you can get involved and have an impact. Next slide. Part of what people love about Pittsburgh is it's a beautiful place. They're just the built environment, the natural environment has so much character. Anyone living in the city, the majority of them are within 10 minutes of a park. We have an incredible park system in our city, endowed decades ago by some of the city's founders. We have miles and miles of hiking and biking trails, public parks across the 10-county region that are used for everything from hiking, biking, fishing, hunting. And so it's very much a place where people have a relationship with the land and the outdoors, very much a part of the character. And there's something for everyone really in terms of getting outdoors. And if you're like most of the world, you're looking forward to that as we continue to come out of quarantine. And this is a great place for that, really easily accessible. And what's there to do at night once everything opens up again? Surprising to some people, but not to Pittsburghers, we actually have a really booming restaurant scene. Part of the reason for that, we have a great startup entrepreneurial culture in our restaurant area. Part of the reason is many chefs who are getting started here left 10 or so years ago, went to London, went to Paris, New York, LA, really got their chops in these larger cities with well-known chefs, and then came back to Pittsburgh where they could afford to open their own restaurant and knew that they would have the support for it. So we have a place called Federal Galley. I'm not sure if Smallman Galley, its predecessor, is still up and running, but essentially it was started by a couple of guys from the Navy, and it's an incubator for restaurants. So they share the space, they share learning about marketing and real estate and all of that. And then, the larger crowds that come in can get small plates from each of them, test the chef's best. And so we've got restaurants that are incubating out of those places. But the chefs that came back here to open, some of them are on their third, fourth, or fifth restaurant, and they're still open. It's a place where you can afford it and people want to support you. And there's only more growth ahead as the pandemic winds down, which we hope is fairly soon. So others are taking notice. Bon Appetit, we've got James Beard finalists here, New York Times, have all been recognizing this. And sports, many cities claim they're known for sports. We truly are. 6-time Super Bowl winner. We know we're not the only ones in some of these categories any longer, but it's very, very much part of the culture. And several years ago, there was a Monday Night Football announcer. Many of you know, some of you won't, by the name of Howard Cosell. And he was so taken in by when they would bring the whole crew to town for Monday Night Football, where you couldn't go anywhere. Everyone had on jerseys. You wear jerseys to church. It's everyone screaming. And he said, there's something unique about this town. It's when you play Pittsburgh, you play the whole city. And that's pretty much how it is with all sports here. It's the same with the Penguins for hockey, pretty much for baseball for the Pirates too. And we also have adult leagues that are open to everyone. The Pittsburgh Sports League has hundreds and hundreds of opportunities, everything from kickball to softball, a lot of different meetups and ways to just dive in and get involved and meet people like you. So that's part of it on quality of life. There's a lot more to get to know, especially what our year-round activities are. But in the meantime, what we'd like you to know is that Patty and I are open to any type of discussion you'd like to have about energy here, about what it's like to live here, what it's like to recruit talent here, or to build a talent pool here. And we're open for questions now. If you'd like to drop any into the Q&A, I see a couple coming in here now. Patty, this is probably best for you. It says, I'm working on a project that requires a significant amount of power. What would be the benefits of considering Pittsburgh for this opportunity.
Okay, do we have another whole half hour that I can talk about all the benefits of this company locating here? I'm actually working with a company that is interested in just that. Perhaps that's the person who asked the question. But Pennsylvania, we actually export more electricity than any other state. We are part of the 13 state PGM network. Our energy comes from a nice mix, 9% coal, 39% nuclear, 47% natural gas, 2% hydroelectric, and 3% renewables. And that is constantly changing. You should locate here because we have a very competitive retail electricity market where customers can actually choose their electric service provider. Utilities here don't own their own generation. We have real estate with heavy infrastructure to support those needs. And we have a trained workforce as well. Is that enough to make them
Okay.
more interested?
So there's another question about days of sun in Pittsburgh. How do you expect to attract solar companies when Pittsburgh is not known for its abundant sunshine? Let me just say, it's a pretty sunny day here today. It's been sunny all week, so, but take it away, Patty.
Okay, fair question. We do average 160 sunny days per year, but when the sun is not shining or when the wind is not blowing for the wind energy, that's why we have companies like the three I highlighted today that are building battery storage. They're constantly creating and developing ideas and products to capture that sunshine on those off days when it's not shining here. So all the companies that do the components, you know, whether it's the solar array farms or the batteries, we're open.
Okay. I see one, like a last question. What are Pennsylvania's AEPs?
Did you say AEPS?
AEPS.
Okay. So AEPS stands for Alternative Energy Portfolio Standards. So Pennsylvania right now, I believe we're at 18%. So that means 18% of our electrical supply by Pennsylvania EDCs, the actual distribution companies, and the EGCs, the generation companies, their power must come from alternative energy sources. And then the guidelines go a bit deeper as to what's tier 1 and what's tier 2. And I know that there's a carve out for solar in those AEPS. And I also know that I believe they're supposed to expire or sunset this year, and a new percentage will probably be defined. And I really don't have any insight right now, Linda, into what that new percentage will be.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. If you do have one, if you quickly want to drop it into the Q&A, or feel free to just drop it to Patty's email or mine, and we're happy to follow up or have a follow-up discussion with you. And I'll turn it back over to you, Patty, to close out then.
Okay. I know we build this as an open house. How I so wish that we could be in person. Not that you would all be over at my house, that's for sure. That won't accommodate you, but I do look forward to getting back together as soon as we can. And if you have any questions on our natural resources, our ecosystem, our leadership, our real estate, our talent, our quality of place, R&D, anything that we touched on today, we definitely invite you to contact us. We'd like to keep this conversation going. And then I'd like to remind everybody about 3 upcoming sessions. At the beginning, I said this was number 7 of 10. Next Wednesday, Tech Ecosystem will be the topic, followed by Advanced Manufacturing on the 24th. And then we'll close out the series in the month with the Tech Talent Pool on March 31st. Again, thank you for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And if you're in their region, enjoy that sunshine. And if you're not, we invite you to come visit us. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.